Hey guys, I'm Michael from eKids. Do you remember studying Deuteronomy 6:5?
You must love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your strength.
Deuteronomy 6:5.
And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your strength.
Well, if you don't, let me read it to you. Deuteronomy 6:5 in my Bible right here. It says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength." Again, that's Deuteronomy 6:5. You know, when I read the Old Testament, one thing I like to do is like to see these characters and think, well, did they love God with all of their heart? Did they love God with all of their soul? Did they love God with all of their strength? So we're going to study a new character for you today for the next few weeks, and her name is Ruth. Now, in this story, there are tons of characters, and we want to see if these characters loved God with all of their heart, all of their soul, and all of their strength. Oh, but also, while we're learning about new characters and learning new stories, there's something else that we need to see. To understand a story, you need to think about a few things. First, the characters. When you watch these stories, watch these videos, these cartoons, I want you to start thinking, who is in the story? So, characters, who? The next thing that's really difficult, but I want you to try to think about this, is the setting. The setting. The setting is where the story happens. So if you guys can start learning the characters and the setting, who and where, then the rest of the story will start making more sense. So let's work on a couple things. One, let's see if we can figure out who the characters are. Two, let's start thinking about where these characters are. And then finally, let's see if these characters love God with all of their heart, all of their soul, and all of their strength. All right, so check this out in Ruth. Here we go. Ruth chapter 4 from the Message Bible. Boaz went straight to the public square and took his place there. Before long, the closer relative, the one mentioned earlier by Boaz, strolled by. "Step aside, old friend," said Boaz. "Take a seat." The man sat down. Boaz then gathered 10 of the town elders together and said, "Sit down here with us. We've got some business to take care of." And they sat down. Boaz then said to his relative, "The piece of property that belonged to our relative Elimelech is being sold by his widow Naomi, who has just returned from the country of Moab. I thought you ought to know about it. Buy it back if you want it. You can make it official in the presence of those sitting here and before the town elders. You have first redeemer rights. If you don't want it, just tell me so I know where you stand. You're first in line to do this, and I'm next after you." He said, "I'll buy it." Then Boaz added, "You realize, don't you, that when you buy the field from Naomi, you also get Ruth the Moabite, the widow of our dead relative, along with the redeemer responsibility to have children with her and carry on the family inheritance?" Then the relative said, "Oh, I can't do that. I'd jeopardize my own family's inheritance. You go ahead and buy it. You can have my rights. I can't do it." In the olden times, in Israel, this is how they handled official business regarding matters of property and inheritance. A man would take off his shoe and give it to the other person. This was the same as an official seal or a personal signature in Israel. So when Boaz's redeemer relative said, "Go ahead and buy it," he signed the deal by pulling off his shoe. Boaz then addressed the elders and all the people in the town square that day. "You are witnesses today that I have bought from Naomi everything that belonged to Elimelech and Chilion and Mahlon, including the responsibility for Ruth the foreigner, the widow of Mahlon. I'll take her as my wife and keep the name of the deceased alive along with his inheritance. The memory and reputation of the deceased is not going to disappear out of this family or from this hometown. To all this you are witnesses this very day." All the people in the town square that day, backing up the elders, said, "Yes, We are witnesses. May God make this woman who is coming into your household like Rachel and Leah, the two women who built the family of Israel. May God make you a pillar in Ephrathah and famous in Bethlehem. With the children God gives you from this young woman, may your family rival the family of Perez, the son Tamar bore to Judah. Boaz married Ruth. She became his wife. By God's gracious gift, she conceived and had a son. The townwoman said to Naomi, "Blessed be God, he didn't leave you without a family to carry on your life. May this baby grow up to be famous in Israel. He'll make you young again. He'll take care of you in old age. And this daughter-in-law who has brought him into the world and loves you so much, why, she's worth more to you than 7 sons." Naomi took the baby and held him in her arms, cuddling him, cooing over him, waiting on him hand and foot. The neighborhood women started calling him Naomi's baby boy, but his real name was Obed. Obed was the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of David. This is the family tree of Perez. Perez had Hezron. Hezron had Ram. Ram had Amminadab. Amminadab had Nahshon. Nahshon had Salmon. Salmon had Boaz. Boaz had Obed. Obed had Jesse. And Jesse had David.
Hey guys, pretty cool, right? We made it to the final chapter of Ruth. So we learned in chapter 1 that Naomi was and Ruth were widowed, that both Naomi lost her husband, Ruth lost her husband, but Ruth decided to stay with Naomi, and then they returned back to Ruth's hometown, or to Naomi's hometown.
For crying out loud, Michael, how many weeks in a row are you going to forget where they're from? It's Bethlehem. Yeah, it's Bethlehem.
In chapter 2, we find out that Ruth meets this Boaz guy, and that she starts working for him, and maybe they're flirting a little bit, and things are getting exciting, and it's kind of a fun story, and Boaz seems to be a really good guy. And then in chapter 3, the tension mounts, right, because Ruth does this weird thing that Naomi asked her to do, to go sleep next to Boaz in the threshing floor, and we find out that Ruth and Boaz are kind of interested in each other. Maybe they'll get married. We'll see.
So chapter 4 tells what happens. What we just learned is in chapter 4, sure enough, Boaz talks to like these elders in this community, and he talks to this dude that had the right to marry Ruth. But he finds out that the guy doesn't want to do that because it would kind of mess things up with his own inheritance. I guess he would lose money if he married Ruth. So Boaz is like, sweet, I'll do it. I'll marry Ruth. And he does. He marries her. And so that's kind of cool. And then what we find out later is the reason why this story is important. The reason why this story is important is that David comes from the line of Ruth. Ruth is David's great-great-grandma. Can you believe that? And you know what else is cool? We see that David is in the line of Jesus. David is like Jesus' great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa, right? So Ruth is actually in the line of Jesus. Pretty cool, right? So what do we learn by Ruth's story? Well, we learned some weird things about culture, right? We learned that they had this weird thing where they slept next to a person's foot. That's weird. We also saw them exchanging their shoes. Exchanging shoes, so you can see, like, what, you know, to make a deal instead of a signature, it'd be like, all right, guys, here you go. You can have my shoe. What? But that's what they did. We found some cool things like that. But I think the most important thing is we learned that Ruth did love God with all of her heart, all of her soul, and all of her strength. Through the story, Ruth does all the right things. So I really like the story because of that. We see that Jesus comes from a line of people who do make some mistakes, but they really do love God. And I guess the question for you is, do you love God with all of your heart, all of your soul, and all of your strength? Are you loyal like Ruth was to Naomi? Are you loyal to God like Ruth was to God? So do you do the right things? Because even though Ruth was in a weird situation, she still did the right thing when she was sleeping next to Boaz. So I don't know, guys. I think Ruth's a really good character, and I hope that maybe we can learn to make good decisions and to be loyal and to be kind and to be hardworking like Ruth was. All right, guys. That's it. That's the story of Ruth. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye. All right, we got another one. All right, check it out. I think you're going to like it. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your strength. Deuteronomy 6:5. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your strength. Deuteronomy 6:5. It starts with the heart. Hey yo, where'd the beat go? It's hard to show love without the snare. Though for real, bring it back, cause I need that emotion like you kids need a snack. And how God needs devotion. God loves us first, so we love him back. But we gotta show him. What you think about that? Show kindness to others. It's how we give love. Big hearts like the Father above. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your strength. Deuteronomy 6:5. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your strength. Deuteronomy 6:5. Love God with your soul. The real word is nefesh. It means your whole being, from your blood to your flesh. Love God with everything and all you will become. It works out for the best how a good life is done. And believe it or not, it's a lot of fun loving the life with the Father, Spirit, Son. Do your best with zest, address the stress and rest. Live life out loud, stand out in the crowd. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your strength. Deuteronomy 6:5. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your strength. Deuteronomy 6:5. He-Man said, but strength is more than just abs and desire. It's fire and courage. It requires the occurrence of tenacity and grit, the audacity to get it. With it comes wit, the strength of the mind. A citizen with discipline is strength to find. Conviction through friction, strength in a bind. Courage to flourish, strength for all time. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your strength. Deuteronomy 6:5. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your strength. Deuteronomy 6:5.